Is McCann available today off the bench?
I don't know. I'm sure he is. You know, with the way he played through it yesterday, I'm sure he's available, but I haven't seen him yet today.
Did he have any tests or anything
Nope.
on it?
No, he's just his foot's a little sore. It was a little sore last night, and hopefully, you know, a day off will help him.
With Whitley, he's struggled a little bit his last couple of times out. What does he need to do, especially early on, to have success?
Well, his location is extremely important, and I think, you know, against the right-handers, his slider becomes important as well. So, you know, he gets those two things going, he'll be fine.
Was there anything with his slider last start that you noticed as to why he wasn't throwing it as effectively as he had earlier?
You know, sometimes it just happens. You just don't have your really good stuff. You know, we saw it last night with Tanaka. He didn't have his great stuff, and that's part of, you know, being a successful pitcher is learning how to pitch when you don't have your great stuff, because you're not going to have it all the time. And I think he'll bounce back today.
He's young. He hasn't been in the league very long. Hasn't been a starter very long. Do you talk to him after he has a couple of rough outings, or do you just expect that he's going to bounce back?
Nothing more than I usually would. Encourage him, and you know, this is all part of it. You know, we've seen a lot of great starters have tough outings, have a couple tough outings in a row, and you can learn a lot from that.
75th anniversary of Lou Gehrig's speech, also the 4th of July. What is today going to be like? What does that speech mean to you?
Well, I think it's an important day, obviously, in American history, but it's also an important day in Yankee history, what Lou Gehrig represented, the type of player he was, the type of man he was, and what he meant to this organization. So it's a really special day.
Why are you guys on the road today?
Because we're not at home. You know, I don't know. I mean,
did anybody from the, because it seems kind of stupid that on the 75th anniversary of Lou Gehrig that you guys are in a city that didn't even have a team when Gehrig was playing.
Well, the one thing that I don't really get a lot of input in is the schedule. So, and you know, the one thing is it's raining in New York. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
I knew that a year ago.
And Boston and Baltimore already been rained out, I think. So I don't. Is this? I think it's remnants of the hurricane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any further word on CC?
He's going to see Andrews a week from Monday. The MRI didn't reveal anything new. It's what we saw. You know, so Andrews and Dr. Ahmad and CC will determine what's next. I'm sure surgery is possible.
Sure.
So we got to determine. You know, they got to talk about and decide what's best.
There was a report that microfracture surgery would be the next step. Is that how you understand it?
Well, I mean, that's always a possibility when you have a degenerative knee. That could be one of the steps. You know, I'm not exactly sure if he was to have surgery, what it's going to be. I mean, that's for them to determine, but that's always a possibility, and that's a surgery that a lot of players don't want to hear that they need to have, and it's a pretty long rehab.
Well, based on what you know right now, do you think there's a possibility he might not pitch for you again?
You know, I think it's too early to predict that, Sweeney. But, you know, whenever you have degenerative issues, you know, that cause surgery or things like that, I mean, there's always a little question, yeah.
In terms of this year, are you just going to, right now, go into the presumption that you won't have him again this year?
I think that's probably fair to say.
Suffering any fatigue issues? I know he's 70-something innings total this year. He's only thrown 91, I think, is his career high.
You know, I don't know. I think it's probably too easy to predict that, but I'm sure that conversation is going to come up because of the type of pitcher he's been in the past, being a reliever and never really throwing a ton of innings. So I'm sure that's going to come up. It's probably something that we have to monitor and watch carefully and see where he's at.
Is it a week from Monday for CC?
Yeah, unfortunately, Dr. Andrews' schedule doesn't allow. I think he's got conferences, and so it's a week from Monday. Not the way you want to start your All-Star break if you're a player.
No Jeter today?
No, just a day off. He's played 7 days in a row, day game after a night game. He played a day game after a night game the other day at home, so just a day off in a long stretch.
Joe, did Wheeler come close to making the team in spring training? Was that down to the last?
Oh, he was definitely in the conversation. You know, we thought with the way our team was constructed and the way Solarte had swung the bat that he had kind of won the job. But Wheeler was definitely in the mix, and he was in the mix when he came. I mean, we talked about it. This was a guy that could force his way on our team in a sense, or play his way on our team during spring training or during the course of the season.
Wow, you still get a kick out of that kind of story.
I mean, that's as good as this gets. You know, a guy that drafted in 2007, first hits a home run. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
He's come back to earth yet?
No, I think he said his mom was hoarse when he talked to her, which is pretty neat too.